With all of the talk and all of the news about former WWF, WCW, and TNA head writer Vince Russo investing into Juggalo Championship Wrestling, I got really interested in checking out my first episode of JCW. It was my first time watching JCW, and because of Vince Russo's involvement, I was highly interested. So, the first episode I watched, and then I'm going to give my thoughts on, was JCW Lunacy, episode 56. Like I said, I was highly interested to check it out because of Russo's involvement. Russo, say what you want about him, he actually tries. And I would rather watch the product of a creative guy that tries versus non creative people who don't even try. WWE, AEW. Anyway, so the first episode I watched was episode 56, and the first match was Willie Mack versus Mr. Happy. I love the character Mr. Happy. He's a great character throughout his entrance and the whole match, and even after the match, he stayed in character. The takeaways so far of my first time watching a JCW show is that the big moves in the match actually matter. Therefore, I do not feel stupid for watching it. And even after the match, Mr. Happy was still happy. He was clapping his hands. He was very happy. And with great characters like that, you can put them into stories and, be entertaining. Who would have thought? Novel concept, right? So already off the bat, JCW has my attention. Now we go to match number 2. It was a tag team match. It was Caleb Connolly and Jeeves, known as the American Juggalos, versus the Outbreak. Now, here is where JCW got my full attention and probably where I became a fan of JCW just off of the second match of this show. The Outbreak is a tag team of zombies. Like the ones off of Walking Dead. Excuse me. Even when the Outbreak got into the ring, the way they got into the ring was still characteristic of zombies. I'm absolutely loving this. Jeeves is a more feminine character of the American Juggalos, that tag team. And throughout the entire segment of the entrances and all the way through the end of the match, Jeeves was terrified and afraid to tag in. And I really appreciate that, because a lot of times you'll watch a wrestling product and you might get slightly interested in a character, and then the bell rings and it's almost as if they forgot their character and they're just trying to have some kind of a talent show, which is awful. Just tell a story, bro. Anyway, so this tag match was amazing. Everyone stayed in characters. In my notes here, I wrote down, at this point, fuck WWE and fuck AEW. The Outbreak won the match using a tag team move called the Double Mist, which means they both sprayed a black mist of some kind of chemical that infected them and turned them into zombies, right? So that's amazing. Even their move is based around their characters. That's holy crap. Wow, real wrestling is back. All I had to do was watch JCW. So with that being said, when they sprayed Jeeves with the double mist, I'm thinking, okay, well, this turns people into zombies. Is Jeeves going to be turned into a zombie? The answer is yes. However, the Outbreak has a manager. I believe his name is Barnabas. An, another great character. After Jeeves was sprayed with the mist, Barnacle had to provide Jeeves with the antidote, which means he would not be turned into a zombie or die, and therefore the Outbreak and Barnacle would not ever be arrested. So that's awesome. Great continuity. Just like I am loving all of the nuances. Okay. Um, Now we go to the third match. And before I get to the third match, I want to mention that throughout this episode, uh, there is a manager of Mr. Happy, and she went to talk to this new investor for J.C.W. And throughout the whole night, they kept teasing that before the show is over, the investor will be revealed. Okay, now let's go to the third match. It was another tag match, which at first I was like, oh man, we just had a tag match. Like, I don't want two tag matches in a row. However, once again, J.C.W. proved me wrong. As long as you're telling good stories and have good characters, it doesn't matter. So we go to the tag match, which consists of Alacran and Mega Muska versus Stephen Flo, which I was very surprised to see, and Stephen Flo's tag partner, Cocaine. I love Stephen Flo's character. I love Cocaine's character. Everyone on this show has a character. I just want everyone to know that. If you've never watched J.C.W., it is not at all what you expect Juggalo Championship Wrestling to be when you first think about it. Trust me, I have always went out of my way to not watch Juggalo Championship Wrestling because of my own assumptions. I got interested in watching it and giving it a chance because Vince Russo's involvement. And once I gave it a chance, I'm like, holy crap, this is real. This is real pro wrestling. This is everything we loved about the Attitude Era and even the golden era in the 80s of pro wrestling. Stephen Flo and Cocaine win because Cocaine did some coke and hit one of the members of the other tag team with the Coke Slam. Awesome. I do love that one of Stephen Flo's moves in the match was called the stage dive because he's grungy and he stage dives, and his name is Stephen Flo because of the song Even Flow by the legendary grunge rock band Pearl Jam. The fourth match is a fatal four-way. We have Chuck Yeager versus Congo Kong versus Captain Mike Blackskull, which, yes, is a pirate, and yes, he does have a peg leg. That comes into play here. Versus Ninja Mac. The pirate character, he has a fake parrot on him, and Congo Kong takes the parrot and bites its head off, which is staying true to Kong's character and is also staying true to the pirate's character. The only time in this episode you saw any stupid flippity-doo crap was actually from Ninja Mac, which makes a lot of sense because he's a ninja. He should do that stuff. So I appreciated that, and the flippity-doo-dah stuff actually meant something to me, the viewer, when I was watching it, and I didn't feel insulted. Yes, in my notes here I have, there's a lot of peg leg spots. Like, for example, Ninja Mac is wrapped up by uh, Captain Mike, and he tries to stomp on his foot in order to get out of the hold. However, Captain Mike is a pirate and has a peg leg, so therefore he cannot feel the blows to his foot because it's wood, right? So that's awesome. I love that. Kong wins by using his finishing maneuver called the Island Driver, which is the Rikishi driver. Um, Sheesh, I love that all of the big moves actually means something, and I love that a finishing maneuver actually finishes a match. I don't know how many times I'll be watching a big wrestling match, and there's just kickouts of finishers. And it just makes me feel like I invested my time into the wrong thing, and like I'm wasting my time, and I'm just watching two dorks go out there and shred on a guitar when all I want to hear is a good song, right? Um, so yeah, now we go to the main event, which was Matt Cross versus J.C.W. World Heavyweight Triple Crown Champion Too Tough Tony. Too Tough Tony wins the match by using his finishing maneuver called the Meteorite. The Meteorite is basically he lights his fist on fire and punches you. That's awesome. And it's not a foreign object. He's using his fist, so it's totally legal. I thought that was awesome. So far, all of the notes I have written for my first time watching J.C.W. include the good characters, consistency, continuity, nuances. The big moves actually matter. Finishing moves actually finish the match. And now we get to the payoff of watching the show, our reward. At the top of the show, we were told the investor would be revealed. At the end of the show, we got it. They followed through on their promise. And the investor turns out to be Vito. He's dressed to the nines as a mob boss, which is kind of cool because big news things in sports right now is that it's coming to the light that a lot of high-name sports people are involved with the mob. Shocker, I know. And so what happens is Vito and Violent J are talking. Vito has to go and take a piss. And when he gets to the bathroom, he sees Stephen Flo playing his bass, and he tells him to get out of the bathroom. And then he catches cocaine, you're doing coke in the bathroom, and he fires cocaine. He's investing into this company. The last thing he wants is anyone doing drugs, right? So that's awesome. I will definitely be tuning in to every episode of J.C.W. from now on. It has definitely cured my wrestling fix because I love pro wrestling, but for so many years we have not gotten pro wrestling. We've just gotten some guy who's injury prone switching his character 100 different times until he eventually steals Joaquin Phoenix's Joker character and then has a vision, and then everyone kicks out of his move, and then he's still the champion, and then who gives a crap? And AEW started off cool, but I stopped watching that probably 2-3 years ago after Punk left. These guys are legit. JCW's legit. Everyone there, from the owners, the bookers, the talent, the ring announcers, the commentators, the crew, the stage crew, even the fans. Everyone there is trying their best to make every little thing there actually matter. And it shows. So, yeah, I highly recommend you to check out JCW Lunacy. It's amazing. And thank you, JCW.